Hello and welcome back to IDP Bets. How's everybody doing? My name is Johny the Greek. This is IDP Bets. It is week 7. I am joined by a very special guest this week. He is at Jeff Pomazal on Twitter, all one word. He is the host of the IDP After Show and did the IDP Minute for the entire offseason, this one and the one before that, which was awesome, and single-handedly kept many of us informed throughout the entire offseason. He is a contributor for the IDPshow.com, a known degenerate and a Badgers fan. Mr. Jeff Pomazal, how are you doing, sir?
Fantastic. Too much. You are making my head swell here, Mr. Johny. So I appreciate those accolades.
Yeah, no worries, man. It's good to have you on, and I really do mean that, especially the IDP Minute. That was so valuable to so many people. But whenever you're doing that, that's really good stuff.
Labor of love for sure. So labor of love.
Yes, sir. And we got another labor of love tonight. We're going to be looking at our favorite IDP bets for week 7. Before we get into it, just a reminder, these are not even suggestions. We are just discussing the bets that we will be making personally. Set a limit and stick to it. For help with problem gambling, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, before we get into this week, just a quick look back at last week. We did come crashing back down to earth with a 3-5 record after a spectacular week prior. Part of that was my fault. I did not see Logan Wilson disappearing off the face of the planet. I guess I wasn't reading the tea leaves as much as I should have. So my bad for that. But we'll see if we can do a little bit better this week. That was pretty crazy, right? Like, am I crazy? Like, Logan Wilson, that seemed a little wacky.
We this week on the week 7 preview show with Jace Abbey, we talked about that too, like how it just kind of came out of nowhere and Barrett Carter just became like this like amazing plug and play. He's wearing the green dot now and everything. So yeah, if you're a Logan Wilson owner, maybe you can just sell high on the name still, but I don't know. I think you might have missed your window.
Yeah, pretty wild. You got to stay on top of things and around these parts, that's for sure. Alrighty, let's see what we got for week 7. Mr. Pomazal, take us away. What do you got for your first favorite IDP bet this week?
I have one of my favorite players right now. I got him rostered in so many leagues, so it was easy to kind of track this one. I got Quentin Lake over 2.5 assists this week. He's hit this in 4 straight games. And it's not just like he cleared it by getting 3. He had 4, 4, 4, and 5 tackles respectively, or assisted tackles respectively over the last 4 weeks. They take on the Jags this week in London. The Jaguars are giving up a generous 15.5 tackles to the safety position over the last 3 weeks. Quentin Lake just happens to play safety, but he also happens to play in that IDP sweet spot that we just love for production. Last week, he played 57 of his 78 snaps in that IDP sweet spot, and that's defensive line, in the box, and in the slot position. So he's getting a lot of those tackle opportunities, filing on a pile, and that's a great way to rack up assisted tackles. It's a great way also to start off the day with a win. You know, the game's going to be early in London, so maybe by the time some of those West Coast dad wake up, they already have a tackle prop hit. So
I love it. I actually took, we'll talk about this in a minute, but I took Kam Curl for the exact same reasoning, and his utilization is not nearly as good. And that's a timing thing on my part, because I looked at this before Quentin Lake was out. So you got the better deal there, and I'm with you completely. A lot of this makes sense from the amount of safety tackles that are being given up by Jacksonville to his utilization, to his production this year. Lake has been fantastic. So, yeah, I'm with you completely.
Yeah, he had a clunker in week 1, but since then he's just been phenomenal. I almost took Lake with the 5.5 over tackles, but the line got bumped already to 6.5. So just pivoted to the 2.5 assisted, which seems like a shoe-in right now. So,
Yep, love it. Yep, I'm with you on that. Good call right there. I am targeting this same game. Yeah, this game's actually got some promise, I think. There's a lot of, we look at those tackles allowed charts each week, and there's, LA and Jacksonville are towards the top for a couple different categories. So this game definitely stuck out, including Jourdan Lewis over 3.5 combined tackles. This one was on Underdog. So he's cleared this line in 3 of 6 games played so far this season. but he's been under it the last 3 weeks consecutively. And I think that's a good thing for us this week because it's dragged his line back down from where it was a couple weeks ago at 5.5 combined, 4.5 combined, to just 3.5 combined. He has to get over now to win this bet. So I think he's a bounce back candidate this week for this because he's getting the Rams, who allow the second most cornerback tackles per week at 15.8 per game. The Rams are also the second best team in the league for wide receiver targets with 145 to this point. That's quite a bit. Your average team's at like 110, so they love to target their wide receivers. I know Puka's going to be out, but we saw that happen about halfway through last week, and Stafford still had 18 of his 26 total attempts go to wide receivers, even with Puka exiting early last week. So I don't think that's going to be an issue. Jourdan Lewis's utilization and playing time are fantastic, with 100% of snaps played for every game so far this season, and about half his snaps each week coming from the box or the slot. He's in a perfect setup to break out of this mini slump he's in against a fantastic Rams team in a fantastic matchup that love to target their wide receivers. And like I was saying earlier, I think his past few weeks of stinkers have only helped drag this line back down to reality and make it very much doable for him this week. So I think we got a few things pointing towards that. But what do you think? Does Jourdan Lewis bounce back this week and get over this?
I think the matchup is fantastic. Like you mentioned, like the Rams are a pass happy team. Jourdan Lewis was playing out of his mind the first couple of weeks. I know he was a huge waiver wire target the first couple of weeks of the season. Managers were able to get him in the lineup, and as soon as they did that, they took off the shine off of his game, and he kind of came back down. And who are we to argue you with a cornerback as a call here, Johnny? So this is, you just can't just nod your head and agree, right?
I hope so, but that's part of why I write the article is because cornerback is such a dumpster fire every week.
Yep.
All right.
At least they're healthy. At least they're healthy. We're not losing players to ankles and legs
that's
flopping
true.
on the ground. Yeah,
That's true. Yeah, it's not like Fred Warner getting his ankle snapped in half or anything. It's crazy stuff, man. But all right, what are you thinking for number 2 for this week?
My second one, I hate to be a Debbie Downer, but I'm going to play an under here, and it's going to be Isaiah Pola-Mao, under 5.5 assists and tackles this game. He's missed this in 6 straight games. He is the lowest ranked safety according to PFF right now, and I only think he has a job right now because there's nobody else there to play snaps. Kansas City surprisingly doesn't give up a lot of points to the corner or the defensive back position. They've only given up 12.3 tackles over the last 3 games to the safety spot, meaning that he's going to have to convert more, like half of those tackle opportunities himself. And I just don't see that happening. Not only that, Pola-Mao is playing 317 of his 382 defensive snaps this season at free safety. So he's really taken himself out of opportunity. And as it's shown, like he hasn't hit this line at all this season. I know Kansas City is going to get back Rashee Rice this week, so maybe there's a little more passing opportunity with Rice and Worthy there. But still, I don't think this is a player that's like a consistent tackling machine anyway. He might be in line for a big play like a pass breakup or an INT, but I don't see him getting over 6 tackles in this game.
Yep. Yeah, I'm with you on this. The deep safety part. That's the big part, right? Like, yes, they're going to have maybe some deep shots with Worthy or Rice, but not enough for this to happen, I don't think. Proximity is huge for IDP, yep. and that's why we talk about that stuff all the time.
And I don't know, like, are you a game script guy? Because I can see this game kind of being over. I mean, Kansas City played really, really well last week. Vegas is still kind of looking for an identity, I think. I don't know if they're quite have all the pieces yet. If Bowers doesn't play, that takes out a big piece of their offensive weaponry. This game could be over quick, and if we're into that game script narrative, we could see a lot of Pacheco and Hunt running this one out, which might be a Devin White over tackle prop, but he didn't make the cut this week.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on this. I think this could be. I mean, KC just played what must have been their best game of the year against Detroit last week, and they're just getting Rice back now. You can feel the juice back in the building. I think they're going to murder Las Vegas this week, so I'm with you.
Can we use that word on the air, Johnny? I don't know if that.
That's a good question. Yeah, that's probably as R-rated as we can get, I would think.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Noted.
All right, good stuff there. I've also got an under this week, but we'll talk about that in a minute. All right, my next one was basically the other side of the coin for what you were talking about. I'm gonna go same matchup, same reasoning, different player. Kam Curl over 6.5 combined this week against Jacksonville. So he's cleared this line in 5 of 6 games already this season. That's 83% of the time he's going over this line to begin with this year, which is pretty good to start. And that's, probably enough for some people right there for the bet. He's also getting the 6th best team in the league for allowing safety tackles with the Jags, allowing 14.7 each week. Kam Curl's playing time and utilization are excellent as well. He has not been under 94% of snaps in any game so far this season. He's lining up mostly as a deep safety, but he's getting at least 40% of his snaps coming from the box, slot, defensive line, or a blitzing attempt. And as we all know, a sack counts as a tackle. So if he gets a sack, we're still looking good for this. Beyond that, 44.5 points for the over/under, with the Rams favored by just a field goal at a neutral site. And we've seen what these two offenses are capable of so far this season. We know that we can get some sustained production here. I think we've got a good shot for like a back and forth affair and a decent shootout, as long as it's not like crazy downpouring in London, which is a thing, unfortunately. So I think the game script could be good for this too. Even without Pukanuka, I think we get enough back and forth action to get Curl over this line. But yeah, I was thinking exactly what you were thinking. So what do you think about Curl this week?
Obviously, I like the call. I like Curl this week. I obviously like Quentin Lake, even Cam Kitchens. Like if you're playing in a deeper league and you need a DB3 or DB4. I think with the Rams this year not having an established LB2, I know that Landman is kind of playing out of his gourd right now and playing really well, but they're still trying to find that second linebacker, which that's kind of been their MO. Dolock played a little bit last week, I know, but this week it seems like Omar Spates might be back in there. And I think that's kind of been to the advantage of these safeties being able to hit their tackle numbers because they've had opportunities because plays have gotten to that third level of the defense. So like I mentioned, the line got bumped on Lake from 5.5 to 6.5 tackles, but it was still a good call. And I really like Kam Curl here with 6.5.
Yep. Yeah, no, it lines up good. Well, hopefully it works out. Alrighty, what are you thinking for number 3?
Well, my number 3 is actually 3/4 because I couldn't decide which to go. And we are just hammering this game in London, apparently, because this is where all the IDP action is, because I've got 2 defensive linemen who are playing extremely well for the Rams right now, Byron Young and Jared Verse, each over half a sack in this game. Every time Byron Young steps onto the field, he gets a sack. He has one at least a half a sack in every game that he's played this season. So that's almost as guaranteed as you can get as kind of a free spot. Verse is playing amazingly well opposite of him as well. Sacks seem to come in bunches for some of these players. Obviously, Young is getting them in just numerous amounts here, but Verse is starting to get a couple as well. He had a 2-sack game last week. The Jags offensive line, especially on that left-hand side, is pretty rough. They've got Walker Little at tackle and Ezra Cleveland there at the guard. Both are looking pretty rough according to their PFF scores. They're both also ranked. They're also ranked pretty low according to their position. Little is 43rd right now at a 76 at the position, and Cleveland is 36th or 39th out of the 74 spots there too. Little has allowed 13 quarterback pressures, and Cleveland has 9. Of those 22 pressures, 7 of them have been converted to sacks. So this Rams team defense is playing really well. They're an ascending unit, and the back end is playing really well, which means it gives the front a little bit more time to get to the quarterback. And like you said, this game script has a big number with an over-under on it. So that just means there's going to be a lot of passing opportunity and a lot of volume, which gives both Young and Verse a chance to hit this line.
Yep. Yeah, no, I'm with you on this. I actually had to drop Cleveland in the all 22 league I'm in the other week because of exactly what you're saying. His PFF grade started pretty nice and then has just kind of dropped off a cliff. And that's what the scoring is based on in all 22. So couldn't keep him around. So yeah, I'm with you on this. I think this is a good shot, and Verse has been heating up too after that kind of slow start to the year for him. Nice.
Yeah, I think
Alrighty.
we're definitely in on that Jags and Rams game for sure. I think we've got four calls in that one game so far. So
yeah, that happened with the Scott show a couple weeks ago. It's weird. Sometimes it just lines up where it's like all the factors point towards one game. Alrighty, good stuff there. Number 3 for me, I am gonna go with a lower line for a starting full-time linebacker here. We need Mack Wilson to get over 7.5 combined tackles this week. So he's done that in 4 out of 6 games so far this season. And this week he's getting the Packers, who allow the second most linebacker tackles each week, 19.4 given up each game. That's a good amount right there. This tracks as the typical Green Bay game plan is to ride Josh Jacobs and then, good amount of Tucker Kraft, decent amount of Dobbs there. So Green Bay is also the second worst wide receiver targets team in the league due to these same trends. That's how much they go with Jacobs and Tucker Kraft. So that looks pretty good to start with. Mack Wilson's playing time is fantastic. He's at 100% of snaps as the norm and hasn't been below 97% of snaps in any game yet this season. Green Bay would be the second best team in the league for rushing attempts if we extrapolate out using their average carries per game, since they've already had their bye week, right? So they're like 30 behind where they should be. If we factor that in, they're the second best team in the league for rushing attempts. And that is fantastic for opposing linebackers, right? That is easy run stopping tackles, almost every time there's a rushing attempt like that. It's usually the linebacker that ends up with the tackles. So we like that quite a bit. And then we've got Tucker Kraft passes over the middle, running backs out of the backfield, the occasional Jourdan Love scrambled. So I think we got a lot of stuff happening in Wilson's area. With all that in mind, this is also a lower number. We just need him to get to 8 combined tackles as a 3-down linebacker right in the middle of the field. I think that's totally possible no matter the matchup. And we've got a pretty good matchup for this week. So thoughts on that?
I love this call because Mack Wilson has only not hit over 7.5 tackles once this season, and that was against the Titans. And that is a really rough offense to sustain drives. Like you said, the Packers have a very long drive or long sustaining drive offense where they're putting together like 90+ yard drives consistently. It's kind of fun to watch this year for sure. And like you said, one drive like that could easily put Mack Wilson 3-4 tackles. Like he could be halfway there by the first quarter. So he's been performing really, really well this season. Not so much in the big plays, but we're looking for him just to soak up tackles. And this is a game to do that. Kyler Murray is questionable for this game, and I know Brissett played pretty well last week, so it's not like there's a huge letdown as far as that goes, but I still think that the Packers, I think they're like 6.5-point favorites in this game, so that game script narrative there also lends to Mack Wilson being over 7.5 tackles too.
Oh, I'm with you on that. Yeah. Kyler's questionable. Marvin Harrison is truly questionable also. They're down to like scraps at running back, Bam Knight, whoever that is, like it's getting desperate in Arizona. So yeah, the odds of a bloodbath and Mack Wilson just eating up tackles as Jacobs kills the clock in the third quarter is also there. So yeah, I'm with you.
And even though it's in Arizona, Packer fans travel so well, it could be like it wouldn't even be home field advantage sometimes. Like it's crazy how much green and gold shows up in other stadiums.
Yeah, definitely. I can attest to that. I've been to
I didn't want to say it, but we were all thinking it.
It's true, man. It's true. I went to a Patriots-Packers game, the perfect season, the season where the Patriots went perfect, then lost in the Super Bowl. So they didn't actually go perfect. But I was there. And I've never seen so many Packers fans at a game. It was kind of crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Alrighty, good stuff there. What do we got for bonus bets this week? Anything strike your fancy?
I got one that I just can't imagine this not hitting. It's going to be Myles Garrett over a half a sack. He is just too dang good not to get a sack sooner than later. Only once in his career has he had, outside of an injury, has he had a streak longer than 4 games where he's not had a sack in, and this goes back 5-6 seasons. So he's due. He's got a great matchup in Miami, a very, very beatable offensive line. Patrick Paul, who's playing offensive tackle right now, has a 60.3 PFF grade. He's 49th amongst 79 tackles at the position right now. And I'm going to butcher this guy's name, but I apologize. Jonah Savaina. He is the guard. He has an even worse PFF grade. He is like the lowest rated guard in the league right now with a 28.3 PFF grade. He is 79th out of 79. So that left side is just abysmal. All it's going to take is Garrett just to get hot here and get one or two. I think that Mike Wooler tweeted something out about like Garrett is still super uber efficient. His snap time and time to quarterback is still at the top of the league, elite levels. He's just missing. And so I know there's a lot of narratives out there about like benching Aiden Hutchinson and benching Myles Garrett because they're not being productive with the sacks, but you don't bench these guys, and for Garrett not to have a sack in 3 consecutive games is kind of alarming. I would be shocked if he didn't get one this weekend. So I'm going to go Garrett over half a sack.
Yeah, no, I'm with you completely. And all that tells me when I see tweets like that is you've been playing IDP for about 5 minutes and you don't understand defensive line production because it's not in every weak position.
Yep.
And it never has been and it never will
Yep.
be. If you have multi weeks without a sack, that's just part of that it happens, right?
Yep. It's like the cornerback position, you can't predict the interceptions or, with the defensive line, you can't predict the sacks. They're not really that sticky stat like those tackles are. So you just kind of have to play the odds. And, over the course of the season, Garrett's probably going to have 13, 14 sacks at the end of the season. He's got 4 right now. That means over the next, 10 games, he's going to probably have 10 sacks. So, hey, that's one a game.
Right, and I look at guys like that. Like I have Garrett everywhere. I try and get him wherever possible for my leagues because he's a week winner. That's what he is, right? Like I don't need him to give me 10 points every week. I need him to give me 40 points once a month and have him single-handedly win my matchup for me.
Yep. I got too many shares in D up for him not to get a sack this week, so I'm willing a sack this week.
Love it. Nice. I'm with you on that. Good stuff there.
Okay, one more for us, Johnny, too?
Yeah, it's a little weird, but you're a Packers guy, so you can tell me how crazy I am on this one, or not. We'll see. But I'm going to go Keisean Nixon under 4.5 combined tackles against Arizona this week. And he's been getting it done IDP-wise, but not necessarily with tackles. He had a 5 pass defense game earlier this year, right? Like, that's a ton of points in most of my leagues, but it's not tackles, right? Like I'm sure he'll still be fine IDP wise, but I'm just not seeing the tackles happening this week. He's been under 5 combined tackles in 3 of 5 games already this season. So this is happening like 60% of the time to begin with. This week he's getting the Cardinals, who allow the 25th most cornerback tackles per week, which is another way of saying like what, 7th worst or whatever. 9.8 cornerback tackles allowed each week. That is not a lot. Arizona is also the 6th worst team in the league for wide receiver targets with just 87 through 6 games. For reference, the Chargers have 149 through 6 games, and your average team has around 115. So if it's not McBride and occasionally Marvin Harrison Jr. or a running back out of the backfield, they're not getting a target. That's just what we've seen out of Arizona this year. Marvin Harrison Jr. is questionable this week. He's coming off a concussion. He may or may not play. He had the yellow non-contact jersey on today or yesterday, so it's looking iffy. We may not have Kyler Murray on top of that. And Jacoby Brissett, it was more of the same. He only targeted his wide receivers with 18 of 39 attempts last week, and that was with Marvin Harrison Jr. around for a good chunk of that game. So, the same tendencies were there with or without the backup quarterback under center. So I don't think that's going to matter all that much. We've got a ton of factors all lining up here towards a slow day at the office in terms of tackles for Nixon this week. Beyond what we talked about earlier, which was this could just be a bloodbath. Like Arizona's not very good to start with. And they're injured all over the place. So this one could get out of hand super quick. And, Nixon could be sitting by the end of the third quarter. So I think we got a good shot at the under. What do you think about that one?
I like this call too for the game. Same reasons that we like the Mack Wilson. There could be like some long drives for the Packers, which means time of possession is in favor of the Packers, which means Keisean Nixon is staying hydrated on the bench, not getting an opportunity to make tackles. The linebackers for the Packers are just soaking up every tackle. They're not getting anything to that second level between Walker and Edgerrin Cooper. They're just tackling everything. And like you said, with the targets not going to the wide receivers, this offense truly does run through Trey McBride. And so he's going to see a lot of action. And I think that's more of a Javon Bullard area of the field. And so I don't see Nixon hitting this. And like you said, he only hit this twice all season. And so those are against like some solid matchups. Cincinnati came to play the other week with Flacco throwing the ball all over the yard. So that was the reason he had 6 tackles in that one. So even when he's getting over, he's just barely getting over this line. So
right, and he is an outside corner. He is not a slot or a box guy, right? So it's got to all line up for him to have good production, and it's not lined up this week. So yeah, I'm not seeing it.
And like you said, if Harrison doesn't play, you're looking at Greg Dortch, Michael Wilson, and I think the ghost of Xavier, or who was it?
Oh God, Zay Jones.
Zay Jones. Yeah. So that is not the scariest of wide receiver cores right now. So.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I think as degenerates, we just don't like the unders. But statistically, there's a lot more going in our favor with this too. Like God forbid, and Nixon could tweak a hammy in the second quarter, and that's the under right there. We obviously don't want that. He's one of our favorites, especially in cornerback land. But there are more ways to get the under than the over.
Yes, yeah. Like you said, there's so many things that have to go right for this to hit, but all it takes, like that what if game, like if you have too many ifs, you shouldn't be playing. So.
Yep. Beautiful. Well, good stuff there. We got some good ones out to everybody. Before we get out of here, Jeff, what are you working on this season? I've seen you doing the IDP After Show. Are you bringing back the IDP Minute for next season? Where can the people find you? Any announcements for the crowd?
Yeah, sure. We're doing the weekly preview show over at the IDP Show every week. We're recording that on Wednesday nights. The audios drop on Wednesday night. The YouTube slots usually hit around Thursday morning about 10. So for those of you watching YouTube things, different guests every week, just previewing some players that we like more of the consensus, some players that were kind of maybe fading a little bit, maybe not sitting, but just maybe tempering expectations a little bit. And then we got a little segment at the end where we've got some players that we're just kind of scratching our heads about, like that we can't figure out, like a Logan Wilson, for example. Maybe this week it's going to be Peyton Wilson because we can't figure out what's going on. One week he plays 100% of snaps. The next week, him and Cole Holcomb are splitting 50-50 timeshare. And it's just kind of maddening in that regard. But definitely in the offseason, plan to do the IDP Minute once training camp ramps up all the way up to the start of the season. And who knows what else is going to be in store. So
nice. That's awesome, man. Yeah. And anybody not following you on Twitter or not following the IDP Show, like that was the easiest way to stay on top of everything this entire offseason. I missed nothing with 1 minute a day from what you were doing. And the consistency, the research involved in that. I know what it takes to do production for something like that. Like, dude, you did some great work. So I appreciate it. And I'm sure IDP Land did as well.
Yeah, I got a lot of grief from my wife because she was like complaining. Like she goes, "It's only a minute or two. How come it takes you like an hour or whatever?" And I'm like, "Well, by the time you do the research, then you do all the scripting and the editing and the video recording and stuff like that, it takes a little love." So
yeah, it's not a minute. Yeah.
No.
Awesome. So. Well, good stuff, man. Thank you for coming on. Good to have you as always. Before we get out of here, please subscribe to the YouTube channel for our other shows, the flagship IDP Show podcast, the IDP After Show, the IDP Trade Show, and IDP Drafts. If you'd like to support the show, you can do so for just $5 a month over at theidpshow.com. We've got premium features for our paid supporters that we know you'll enjoy. Follow us on Twitter, all one word, at the IDP Show. Thank you so much for listening. Good luck this week, everyone. You guys go win some money, and we'll catch you next week, same time, same place. Take care, guys. Bye bye.